And I think it's good. This is going to be episode 7 for us, our Force Awakens. So, which was an awesome movie.
And we're awakening.
We are awake.
Recording from an undisclosed location in Sacramento, it's Jeff and Dave Talk Movies.
All right. Welcome back to episode 7. This is Jeff and Dave at the movies, and I am not Dave.
And I am not Jeff.
And I'm glad we got that straightened out.
Yeah,
because
all clear.
There's lots of confusion there.
That's right. I think what we're going to need to do is get some T-shirts because we look so much alike that we should get T-shirts. You says not Dave, and I say not Jeff.
Right.
And we go with that so people can distinguish.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And I do want to make sure while we're just starting out here that I give a shout out to the millions and millions of Jeff and Dave fans out there. I mean, I was going through a lot of fan mail this week, and I probably went through, I don't know, about 2,500 letters.
Nice.
And everybody, and I was a little disappointed because, everybody says they love the show, but nobody's subscribing.
Yeah, no one is subscribing. I think we only have like 5.
So I wanted to make sure everybody knew that when you log into YouTube and you see a little red subscribe button, make sure you click on that and subscribe to the channel.
Click that. Do that. Obviously, subscribe every video we put out. Well, subscribe. And then the little bell next to that.
Yep.
Click the bell.
So
you know that when our episodes go up, that you're totally informed and you can get in there and start watching it.
Ring.
That's right.
There's nothing more annoying when you're at work and you hear ring. But you know what? It's great. You fire it up at work, you minimize the window, you have the audio going, put on your headphones, and you can just listen to us. You don't have to watch. I know it's difficult to not watch.
I know.
Because who would not want to watch
this? See, this is a huge... People don't understand this. We can't turn the sexy off. This isn't a switch. I mean, it's on.
It's always on.
And so, when you're watching, we get it. It's tough.
It's tough. It is tough. But, I mean, you know what? While you're at work, we don't want you to get fired for listening to this awesome show. So just, minimize the window, put your work up there, and just have the audio playing in the background.
And listen, and you're going to still be able to, listen to the show. And down in the comments, please let us know if there's something you want us to talk about.
I mean, gosh, with 2,500 letters that I've gone through, give or take 2,499, but... Who's counting?
So what did your mom write?
Watch your language, Jeff.
That's right. Jeffrey.
But no, I had a really busy week. I had a great start to the week last week. I had on Sunday night we went to go see the movie Game Night.
Oh, how was that? I was going to go see it, and then I had some things come up, and I couldn't go see it.
We're going into a preview show, so I'm going to talk a lot about that. We were really excited to go see this movie from the outset, from when they first released the trailer. I saw it on Facebook and I tagged my girlfriend in it because we like to play games, and so I was like, "Oh, a game night movie," and it turned out to be kind of it's kind of a thriller-ish, scary-ish type movie, scary comedy type, and my girlfriend was really excited to go see it because she's, oh my God, this is the first non-Disney, non-Marvel movie that I've got to go see in like, I can't remember how long it's been, and I guess same for me too. But is there a bad movie with Jason Bateman in it? I mean, I cannot remember the last bad movie that he was in.
No.
Seems like every movie that he does, he is great in, and the movie's good.
I didn't care for Horrible Bosses.
See, I love that movie.
I didn't think it was that great, but...
The sequel wasn't all that great.
But, no, he's really, really good. I just watched a couple weeks ago the movie This Is Where I Leave You. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know, it's a movie about they've just lost their dad, and it's kind of a dysfunctional family, and they all come back.
Yeah.
And they're a Jewish family, and the dad wants them to sit Sit Shiva or something like that,
Yeah.
where they have to sit for 7 days together as a family, as mourners or well-wishers come
Right.
in. And they kind of have to deal with each other. It's really good.
That was a great cast, too.
It was a really good
was
cast.
really
Tina
funny.
Fey and
Yeah.
Jane Fonda. It was a really good
It was a
movie.
good movie. I enjoyed that movie. Jason Bateman, he brings a lot of not just comedy, but just his mannerisms. I mean, he's really fun to watch on screen. I mean,
He's funny, but he's like the dry.
He's the dry, right?
The dry
he's
funny
got that
guy.
Dry, sarcastic type
Yeah.
sense of humor, and just his delivery of his lines, and he was just on
he's
it.
really
So
good.
him and Rachel McAdams, they played off well together in this movie. But this movie is great. I mean, the premise behind it is this group of friends that have known each other for years, and they get together on a weekly basis to play games, and the board games. I mean,
Right.
Stuff, boring stuff. Well, Kyle Chandler plays Jason Bateman's brother, and Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights.
Nice.
And so he comes back into town, and he's the older brother that everybody looks up to, and Jason Bateman's character always strives to be as good as him. And he comes into town, and he's like, "Let me take this game night up a notch." And the very next week, everybody ends up at his house, and that's where the calamity starts. And
Oh, nice.
it's if you've seen the previews, it's he stages this mock kidnapping, but it actually turns into be, and basically what it is, it's kind of like a not a murder mystery type thing, but a kidnapping type mystery. So he pretends that he's going to get kidnapped, and everybody has to find him, and he leaves behind clues to find him. And what happens though is he does get kidnapped, but it's real.
Oh.
And
yeah, sign me up.
And they go through the first part of this movie where Rachel McAdams' character, she gets a gun, she thinks it's a toy gun, and she finds out it's real when she actually shoots her husband, Jason Bateman, in the arm. And that whole scene, that whole sequence is just hilarious. I'm not going to go through spoilers and everything, but they spend a good chunk of the time trying to get the bullet out of his arm. And she goes into they go into a 7-Eleven to get the necessary tools to get this out. She comes out with a hunting knife, and she goes, "I couldn't find any alcohol, but I bought this really nice bottle of Chardonnay. Maybe this might help." And she goes and she brings out this dog chew toy for him to chew on. He goes, "For the pain?" And she goes, "Yeah, for the pain." And so when he puts this chew toy in his mouth, when she starts cutting open his arm with his hunting knife, and he's squeezing this toy and squeak, 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 squeak.
Okay,
It's
I have to go
hilarious.
see that.
It really is funny, but I'll tell you what made the movie for me and for everybody, I would guess, is Jesse Plemons' character. And Jesse Plemons, if you don't know, is starred in Friday Night Lights with Kyle Chandler, the TV series Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
And he'd had some little parts here and there, but he plays a cop in this movie who is the next door neighbor of Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman. And the whole, he shows no emotion throughout the whole movie. He's total deadpan. Like, this guy is just like, it doesn't matter if it's a funny scene. He's just always real stoic. And he holds his dog up like this, and he talks really low, and he shows no emotion on his face. And he is freaking hilarious because of that. It's so funny. It's such a great movie.
It's
I
on the
highly
list.
recommend go seeing it, and it's gotten great reviews. It is thoroughly entertaining, and it's not scary. It is rated R, but it's not scary. There's a couple. They try to make it that way. It's like with the music, and then all of a sudden somebody pops behind the counter or the corner with a knife in their hand, and he's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing with a knife?" He goes, "I'm just cutting up an apple, dude." It's just one of those types of things. But it really is a good movie. I highly recommend it. But Jason Bateman, man, he's a great actor. I enjoy watching his movies. So anything that he ever comes out with, I'm on board.
Oh, he's really good. He stole the scene that he was in oh my gosh, why can't I think of this movie? The Rock and Kevin Hart. Central Intelligence.
Oh yeah.
That movie was great.
Where he played the bully.
The bully, yeah. He shows up again
yeah.
at the end, and oh my gosh, really good. And he was good in. Well, he's good in everything.
He's good in everything.
But he's been doing a lot. It's kind of cool because he was a child star.
Yeah.
And to see him grow up and to do.
Well, it's funny too because he was out of
things.
the limelight for a while, and then all of a sudden he's having this career resurgence, and he's been knocking it out of the park, man.
Oh yeah,
he's
every
been
time.
doing really good. He's been really good. So I'm glad to see him. He's back out there, and he's young too.
Yeah, I think he's
in his late 40s, I think.
he might be around my age.
I didn't know he was that old.
Come on. Not that old.
You walked right into that one.
Yeah, I know. I did. I totally did.
But no, so the week started out great, going to see that, and then the very next day, see, my tradition for Academy Awards week is I try to squeeze in as many Best Picture nominees as I can before the Academy Awards for the ones that I haven't seen throughout the year.
No, it's a good plan.
This year, I saw one.
Oh.
And then...
Well, but it's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a strong field this year. There's just really nothing that's like, okay, that looks amazing and that looks amazing.
Initially, that's what I thought too. But on Monday, I had actually gotten off work a little early, and I came home and I was doing some work on the computer, and I decided to rent Ladybird.
Oh, okay.
Off of iTunes. Spent the $4, rented it, and I had it playing off to the side while I'm pounding away on the keyboard. And I was really impressed. Now, the reason I went with that one over all the others is, for one, Greta Gerwig. There was so much talk about Greta Gerwig and the work she did in that movie. But two, it was also filmed here in Sacramento.
Yeah, which is always cool when it's kind of a local type of movie.
And there hasn't been a lot of there hasn't been a lot of movies made about Sacramento.
Mm-mm.
And that was really filmed in Sacramento.
Right.
And as popular as a movie as Lady Bird was, and this movie actually paid homage, and that was a lot of the plot was centered around Sacramento.
Really?
Yes. So it's about there's actually a quote in the very beginning of the movie that pops up on the screen, and it's about those who talk about California hedonism have never spent a Christmas in Sacramento.
Oh.
And it's actually a compliment on Sacramento, and about how everybody's always trying to get away from Sacramento, this little cow town that never really is or always strives to be, LA or New York. But it's actually it's kind of like where I grew up in upstate New York, where it's actually a very it's central to everything, and it's a lot of culture and art come out of Sacramento more than you actually realize.
Right.
And so just because, and it's, the main character her nickname she gave herself is Ladybird. She is spending all of her time trying to break away and get away out of the city. And it isn't until she's actually gone out of the city at the very end of the movie where she's like, wow, I'm from Sacramento. This sounds pretty cool, and so it was actually a very good movie, and I highly recommend it. It's your typical coming of age movie. It didn't rewrite the book on coming of age movies.
Okay.
But it was really well done in how Greta Gerwig wrote it and how she directed it, and I'm pulling for her.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Well, I think what I'll do when we're done with the show, I'm going to go to Redbox and see if I can rent the Blu-ray.
I highly recommend it. I really do. And going back to your original statement of it's not a strong field, but after watching that movie, it kind of is in a way. I don't have any desire to see Shape of Water, and I know you saw it.
Oh boy, yeah, don't get me into that.
Even if it won Best Picture, I might end up seeing it eventually, but I don't, I'm really pulling for the underdog here, and I think this movie is probably one of the underdogs. It's probably it'd be a dark horse to win it.
It would be nice for a change to see the underdog win and not have it be a standard Hollywood movie. But we've talked about this a lot, where we both feel that there needs to be some changes made to the Academy.
Yes.
There's time. It's time for a shakeup. So hopefully,
it would be great if this would kick it off.
Yeah, hopefully this can be.
Well, last year, who would have thought Moonlight would have won Best Picture?
Right.
Everybody thought La La Land was going to. Oh my God, dude! I have to tell you, I have to say this before we go any further. we were sitting down watching TV, and we found out, hey, we get a free preview of HBO. Right?
Nice.
So we decided to let's see what's playing on HBO. Well, La La Land was coming on at 8:00, and we're like, oh my God, La La Land. We wanted to go see that when it came out, but we were never really able to make it to the theater.
Okay.
So we decided we're going to sit down and watch La La Land. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
Because I'm a straight white male.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I am too. But anyway.
But you had a lady with you.
So we decided we're going to watch La La Land. What a pile of shit that movie was, man. Like, Best Picture? Are you freaking kidding me? It's like they took all the past musicals that were ever made and they just threw it all together in one little
when
little pot.
One year my late wife
good. It was not a good movie.
Well, yeah. Well, and it reminded me of Moulin Rouge, which I couldn't stand. I thought that movie was a steaming pile of garbage. My wife had rented it, and
Moulin
it was just
Rouge.
yeah. And so she was watching it, and I had walked in a part where I guess they had turned Madonna's Like a Virgin into a spoken word thing, and I was like, what the hell are you watching?
Yeah.
This is just, I was like, I'm sorry, it's lost on me. I know it. People love this movie, but this is dumb.
Let's reiterate the fact that we're not totally against these types of movies.
No,
and we're very well rounded.
Yeah,
I like to think we are.
Case in point, no, I think we are. I think we do have a wide range of interests. It's not just superhero and sci-fi.
Right.
Case in point, I went and saw The Greatest Showman, and I loved the hell out of that movie.
Yeah.
That movie was absolutely fantastic. So it's not an anti-musical thing.
It's that movie was not good. It was not
good.
I was really disappointed because I thought it was going to be something we both thought was going to be something completely different. And it turned out just to be like this. And in fact, my girlfriend fell asleep.
Oh.
Which is funny because, I mean, even if she does make it through a full 2 hours, it's a miracle. But of any movie, unless we're at the theater, which game night totally kept her going. But, here at home, if she makes it through a full 2 hours without falling asleep, it's a miracle.
Wow.
But I mean, that movie was just not good. Even my daughter came out to sit down and watch it. She goes, "Oh, I'll watch that movie with you guys." And after a while, they were both.
That's funny.
So I mean, I was disappointed. But I mean, who would have thought Moonlight would have won Best Picture? And it did,
which was essentially an independent film, and that's why Ladybird would be cool because again, kind of an independent film, not a big Hollywood blockbuster.
Right.
And and I think nowadays that's where the talent is.
Yeah.
That's where the hidden talent is. Not that, big directors aren't talented, but I love going and seeing some of these.
That's where the hidden talent is.
Yeah, the hidden talent. I like going and seeing some of these more independent films because they have to do creative solutions to how they shoot stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just love that. A good example of this it's an older movie, but Swingers. Mm-hmm. Way back when with Vince Vaughn. And,
I remember.
And they were shooting in Las Vegas without permits. Mm-hmm. And there's a scene in the movie where there's cops talking to them.
Yeah.
That's a real cop, not a paid actor.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to stall him, and the sirens in the background are the police coming to that scene to arrest them.
That's awesome.
And so, when you see one of these independent films, it's just kind of cool because they're having to work around the system. And they don't have the big visual effects budget, so they have to do creative things to get it is what they want. And I love that. Not getting emotional. I just have this stupid cough.
You're getting choked up over
No, not getting choked up. Although there was something that I watched this week that did choke me up a little bit.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, because I sent you the link on YouTube. I was just kind of researching Superman, kind of the history of Superman. And I ran across a video. It was behind the scenes from Smallville.
Yeah.
Where Christopher Reeve, for those of you that don't know, and if you don't know this, where have you been? Christopher Reeve, who played Superman, was like the iconic Superman.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. God, how are we friends?
Kidding. Joke.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you totally know. But watching this and having the cast and the crew talk about Christopher Reeve, mm-hmm. and
And for those of you who didn't know, I shame on me because I did watch Smallville back when it was on, and but I don't remember that episode with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal.
I don't remember it. I don't remember.
But I'm going to have to start watching it. I never watched the show because I personally just had issues. Was like, okay, it's a Superman show with no Superman,
right?
And I just kind of had
an origin story, a backstory.
Right. It was basically a Clark Kent show.
Right.
And but to hear how everybody talked about him, and to see Christopher Reeve being interviewed, but at this point he had already broken his neck. He was in a wheelchair,
right.
and how Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent / Superman,
knowledge, man.
He walked in and he said even though he was sitting in the wheelchair, he was talking to Superman. And I was just kind of like, "Oh, you stop." Nothing's in my eye.
I mean, it truly is. He truly was Superman. I mean, while he played him, and then even when after his accident that left him paralyzed, he was he played Superman a different way, I guess you could say, and he truly embodied that character. If going back to that interview, where Tom Welling was like, he goes, there was nothing he didn't know about Superman.
Yeah.
He knew that character inside and out, and that spoke volumes to Christopher Reeve because
it did.
He was the consummate professional. He was he took method acting to a new level where, preparation and rehearsal, that meant a lot to him. Well, and that's how he prepared.
It kind of hurt his career a little bit too, because I've read articles and heard interviews with people that met him, that had the opportunity to meet him, and they said he was Superman. When you would meet him, it was like you were meeting Superman, even though he was just shorts and a t-shirt, if that's what it was. You were meeting Superman, and so. Yeah. I think it hurt his career as a result because it was just kind of like, come on, knock off the act, fly for me.
That's where you have a lot of these actors who portray superheroes in movies. Christian Bale, for a perfect example. He did his 3 Batman movies, and he goes, I got to stop. He goes, because this is what I'm going to be known for. And he goes, I don't want to be known just for playing Batman. Right.
Although when they announced that Ben Affleck was going to play Batman, he said he had an afternoon where he was kind of like, but I'm Batman. And so he did have a little bit of issue with it.
But it's a lot of, you hear that from a lot of actors who play superheroes. It's like, I got to break away.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, who's like, okay, he goes, there's a time I got to hang up the claws.
Right.
Although Hugh Jackman has done a lot. I mean, they all do other things, but it's like that one character that everybody loves seeing him as. And it's always the superheroes.
Right.
Where people just like, they see him as larger than life.
Right. But I think for the most part, it really only hurt Christopher Reeve, because we have Harrison Ford playing Han Solo in Indiana Jones. We identify him as those roles, but we can go see another movie and not see Han Solo.
And I think what you see there with Harrison Ford is because it seemed like everything that he did or does is always an epic. So for example, Christopher Reeve has had his Superman. Okay, but what else did he do that was at that scale?
Right.
He did great movies. Don't get me wrong, he did great movies. But it's like you had Harrison Ford, who had the Star Wars trilogy,
right?
The Indiana Jones movies. He did. God, I can go on and on. I mean, he did a lot of lesser known movies.
Air Force Witness. But see, Witness, that's what
regarding Henry. I mean, you can go on and on.
That's what I think. But that's what helped Harrison Ford, because he went from iconic role Han Solo to iconic role Indiana Jones to another really big Academy Award nominated movie, Witness, where he was able to really jump into different movies.
What's funny is, not to cut you off here, but as soon as you said that, there was an article, and I should pull it up if I can find it. They went back through the early 60s, and they went through all the Best Picture nominees from the 60s, and they redid them. So a lot of the same movies won, but there was a lot of movies that they said should have won. In the year Witness came out...
I think I saw this.
The year Witness came out, they said Witness should have won. And I need to pull it up because I can't remember now off the top of my head. I want to say it was like Gandhi or something that won Best Picture.
Yeah.
But they're saying how Witness should have won Best Picture.
Oh, Witness was absolutely... If you go and you watch Gandhi, I challenge you, I will give you $20 to make it through the whole movie without falling asleep.
I don't want to take that.
Or stabbing yourself.
Right.
It's boring
I
as
gotta
hell.
find that article now.
But Witness is amazing. Oh my gosh, that movie is absolutely amazing. And yeah, and I think I read that article because the year that Forrest Gump won, Shawshank Redemption,
right,
was also nominated, and Shawshank totally should have won.
Totally should have won. And but the one that caught me was, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King won Best Picture.
It did.
But the other two did not. And
right.
They should have.
They totally should have. But because what a lot of people are thinking is that they waited. That's why there wasn't a whole lot of wins for Fellowship of the Ring or the Two Towers.
Right.
Because they were waiting for the third one to come out, and they won everything. Everything they were nominated for, they won that year, because I think the Academy was going to they treated it as, we're going to honor Return of the King, but we're basically honoring the whole series by doing this.
Yeah, no, it was, totally. I mean, it was, I got to go through and find it, but I mean, not to cut you off from where you were going with the Christopher Reeve thing, but what's funny is I've been on this this nostalgic mood, and I bought the soundtrack for the original Superman soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
and
it's really good.
I freaking love the soundtrack, man. The music on that.
Oh, it was good.
I mean, John Williams, dude. I mean, so John Williams, he did Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars,
Jaws,
Superman. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything that guy hasn't done?
Yeah, La La Land.
That was good. Here we go. It was Best Picture. We're recasting the Best Picture nominees. I'm sorry, from 1985.
No, it's all good.
And I'm going to go back to, here was one right here. The actual winner for 2016 was Spotlight, but they actually repicked the Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, that
Best
movie!
Picture.
Oh my gosh,
that was such an awesome movie.
Oh, it's so good.
But again, so they went with Spotlight over Mad Max, and
okay, so you said Spotlight, and I was thinking in my head, I have never heard of that movie.
Yeah, again, it's like I don't know. Here's one right here. It was 2011, where the actual winner was The King's Speech as Best Picture.
Yeah, that hardly anybody saw.
And
I heard it was good.
And they repicked Toy Story 3 as Best Picture.
Okay, I'm going to debate both of those a little bit. I did like Toy Story 3. I really did.
But here's the list of nominees: The King's Speech, Inception, The Social Network, True Grit, 127 Hours, The Fighter, Black Swan, Winter's Bone, and The Kids Are All Right. Those were your nominees.
Okay, here's what I think should have won. Because I did like Toy Story 3, but we had seen it twice before. Mm-hmm. I think Inception should have won.
Yeah. Okay,
because Inception was, it was different. It was, a little off the cuff, or True Grit. But it had won before with John Wayne.
I didn't care for the remake too much. I mean,
I see, and I'm the opposite. I love the remake way more than I like the original. I thought...
I kept looking at Jeff Bridges' character, and I kept thinking of John Wayne. It's just like...
No. I thought he totally made it on. That movie was more gritty, and I can't remember the girl's name that played...
Here's one that'll get you.
All right.
2010, Hurt Locker won.
Good movie, but
they repicked the winner as Up.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Up had all of the emotions inside of that, man.
The other nominees: Hurt Locker, Inglourious Bastards, District 9, and Education, Up in the Air, Precious actually was a good movie. Avatar, I don't know why Avatar was nominated for Best Picture.
I know. It was just Fern Gully.
A
I
Serious
love that
Man
movie, but it
and
was
The
just
Blind
Fern
Side.
Gully. Yeah, I agree with Up. I mean, Up, you get right down to it. That movie was deep. In the very first 10 minutes of the movie, we get an epic love story between Ellie and God, why can't I remember his name? Ellie and Mr. Whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember now. Now it's based off.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. And so you get this epic love story. You find out they can't have children. They put this in a Pixar movie.
Right.
Then you get her passing away, all within the first 10 minutes of the movie. And it's just kind of like, this movie's killing me, man.
Yeah, tearjerker. Hello.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant movie.
But here's where it finally gets interesting. So, God, they picked Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon over Gladiator. I totally disagree with that.
Oh, Gladiator was awesome. Yeah, I agree. I disagree with
that.
that as well.
But okay, so 2002.
Okay.
We were waiting for, since we were kids, to see J.R.R. Tolkien's stories come to life.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally started getting The Lord of the Rings. Up until that point, in my eyes, nothing could top the Godfather trilogy for me. And and just coming from a Star Wars fan, I'm like, well, just Return of the Jedi killed it. Lord of the Rings is my new favorite trilogy
Oh, yeah.
of all time. But so they went back to 2002, and A Beautiful Mind actually won Best Picture that year.
It did, and it was good.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't on the scale of Fellowship of the Ring. So they went back and they chose. So Fellowship of the Ring should have won Best Picture,
Right.
even though it wasn't nominated.
Right.
Other nominees: Moulin Rouge,
Oh.
A Beautiful Mind, Gosford Park, and In the Bedroom.
Yeah, those all are just memorable movies.
And so here we are. They're going back and they're like, The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring should have won Best Picture. The very next year, we got the Two Towers. Two Towers should have won Best Picture. Actual winner, Chicago.
Oh, yeah, and
Other
a lot of people were
nominees?
mad at that.
Other nominees: The Pianist, Chicago, The Hours, and one of my all-time favorite movies, Gangs of New York.
Yeah, okay, so The Pianist was one. Okay, that's worthy of a nomination. Gangs of New York, worthy of the nomination. Chicago was not.
I was not a fan of that movie.
Not worthy of it.
I was not a fan of that movie, and
That movie sucked.
I was when I first heard it was coming out. I was like, "Oh, cool," because I love the music. But then I was like, and then there was a movie. I was like, what? No, it's just not good, And but let's go to the very next year, 2004, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, and it actually won Best Picture.
And it won.
And I think that's the Academy's way of going. Okay.
Yeah, it was given it to all three of them.
We needed to make up for what we screwed up the previous 2 years.
Right.
Because they should have won. And if they would have won Best Picture, boom, 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 dude, how epic would that
as far as I know, so Rocky won for Best Picture. Rocky 2 nominated but didn't win. Mm-hmm. As far as I know, The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 are the only movies back-to-back that won Best Picture.
Yeah,
that are sequels.
because everybody, I remember when Godfather 3 came out, everybody thought, is this going to be the first trilogy
Right, win.
To win Best Picture in all 3 years, and Godfather 3 wasn't as great as the other
It wasn't.
two.
And Francis Ford Coppola admits to this day that he did The Godfather 3 for money. Mm-hmm. That his production company, Zoetrope, was way in the red.
Yeah.
And so he did The Godfather Part 3 to bring it out of bankruptcy.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Or American Zoetrope is the company.
Yeah. Yeah. Lord of the Rings, by far should have won all three. And God, here's another one.
Okay, Saving Private Ryan.
Here's
when was
another
this?
one. Okay, so 1999. Okay, actual winner was Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, yeah, no.
And the repicked winner was Saving Private Ryan.
Amen to that. I agree with that 100%. That's perfect.
I mean, and you look at, the other nominees was Life is Beautiful, Shakespeare
which was
in
stupid.
Love, Elizabeth, and The Thin Red Line. I mean, none of those movies even came close to Saving Private Ryan.
No.
And you take the fact that it's a war movie out of it. I mean, just the performances alone in that movie.
Well, that movie, yeah, it was good. Man. Well, but the thing is, the message that it bring, it was brilliant. Okay, so what are we looking at there?
This is a tough one. And so in 1998, actual winner was Titanic.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
and so all right, yeah, Titanic was a good movie, but the repicked winner was L.A. Confidential, which was a phenomenal movie.
Oh yeah, really good movie.
Other nominees this year, which this is actually a really good list: Good Will Hunting.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
The Full Monty, which I laughed my ass off in that movie. Titanic, and my favorite over One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. My favorite Jack Nicholson movie of all time. As Good as It Gets.
Oh, that movie was so good. But
I freaking love it. But that's a tough freaking lineup.
That is a really tough lineup. But see, I think where their issue was why they didn't win Best Picture for As Good as It Gets, and I love that movie.
Yeah.
Was because Jack Nicholson won for Best Actor, Helen Hunt won for Best Actress, and I think Greg Kinnear won for Best Supporting Actor.
What's wrong? So again, I go back to, you've had movies in the past sweep the Oscars. Why couldn't? I mean, it was totally doable. I mean, it was right there for the taking.
Right. I don't think any movie has swept the Oscars since Return to the King. And I think the only other movie to do it before, well, not the only other movie, but the movie to do it before that.
Well, Return of the King didn't have Best Actor. Or
no,
Best
they
Actress,
didn't, but
sweep.
Oh, that's true. It didn't sweep. The last one to do it was Silence of the Lambs.
See, and this one, I gotta go. We're bouncing around here, but this list is like just freaking infuriating. 1996, the year before, Sense and Sensibility won Best Picture. Other nominees were Braveheart.
Yeah, we should have won.
Babe.
No.
Il Postino. And Apollo 13.
Apollo 13 was good, but shouldn't even.
Actual winner of the repick. I'm sorry. Go back.
Okay.
Go back. Sorry. Braveheart did win. The repicked winner was Sense and Sensibility.
It's a good movie, but
I wouldn't. That Braveheart should have been repicked, and the actual winner.
Well,
you don't go screwing around.
I will say this: out of all of those Jane Austen books, and my late wife loved those movies. I would say that of all of them that have come out, Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility and all of that, I would choose the Emma Thompson version of Sense and Sensibility. Mm-hmm. And I will sit down and totally watch it. But no.
It was a good movie.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't Braveheart.
It wasn't better than Braveheart.
No.
And so here's the one you were referring to, 95, where Shawshank Redemption was up against Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, Four Weddings and a Funeral. Again, a great freaking lineup.
Another good movie, yeah.
Forrest Gump won that, but Shawshank Redemption wasn't even nominated.
Nope.
Wasn't even nominated.
Mm-mm.
That movie
totally
was freaking epic on every scale, man.
Oh, yeah.
Should have freaking
Anybody out there, you tell me right now, which would you rather sit down and watch, Shawshank or Forrest Gump?
Joke, man.
Yeah.
I would have taken Quiz Show out of that and put Shawshank Redemption in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, man! It's some of the
Shawshank was so freaking good.
That's this is the part of the reason why the Academy is like, well, we need to up the list of nominees to 10 instead of 5.
Right.
Well, you're still not getting it right.
Right.
You're still not getting. See, the dogs are even agreeing.
Yep, dogs agree.
Yeah, I mean they got it right. The few years before that. Actually, although this one right here is intriguing too. Godfather 3 was nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
And it went up against Ghost, Dances with Wolves, which
won?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
And Awakenings. The repicked winner wasn't nominated, Goodfellas.
I'm kind of torn on this one.
Oh, dude, are you serious?
I'm kind of torn because.
But no, okay. Yeah, Dances with Wolves was I think that movie was better than Goodfellas, but the fact that Goodfellas wasn't even nominated.
Right. And that's where I'm going to say I'm kind of torn. I agree with what won, but Goodfellas should have been nominated for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And Joe Pesci, I don't know if he was nominated. Joe Pesci should have won for Best Supporting Actor, and freaking De Niro should have won for Best Actor in that movie. That
Yeah.
movie was so stinking good.
So here's the one we were referring to earlier. So it was the 1986, and it wasn't Gandhi. So Witness, the year Witness came out, the other nominees for Best Picture, and this is a tough one: The Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Prizzi's Honor, and Out of Africa. Those were your
And Out of
nominees.
Africa won.
And Out of Africa won, and they were going back and repicking Witness as the Best Picture for that.
And I agree with that.
And I agree too, but that's a tough lineup.
That is a tough
Out
lineup.
of Color Purple was
But
a
I would
great
have said
freaking movie.
out of what was nominated, Color Purple should have won. Out of what was nominated, but Witness should have won over that
That's
lineup.
where, gosh, it's
100%.
I don't know where. Sometimes I think they come up with this list of nominees, but just be like, okay, we're going to nominate you, but you're going to have no chance of winning. We're nominating.
Yeah.
We're putting these crap movies in there because this movie is going to win.
Right.
And so it's like,
Yeah, but but it does make me happy when you see those years where it is a strong lineup. And yeah, the year that Amadeus won, it's like, what the heck? My dad decided that year. It was either that year or the year that Color Purple and...
It was the year before Amadeus won.
But my dad had started doing this thing where he was like, you know what? We're going to go see what we think the best picture is. So he would do kind of like what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Is he would go rent all 5 of the nominees and he'd watch them.
Yeah.
And I don't think he made it all the way through Amadeus. I don't think he made it all the way through Gandhi. I know he turned off about halfway through Out of Africa. It's like, oh, that movie sucks. and he would do that every
out of
year.
your mind to watch Out of Africa.
Yeah, all that movie.
Not that it was, not we're not insulting. I mean, gosh, there's good performances in that movie. I mean,
we're not, but
Robert Redford and is it Meryl Streep?
Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, and the Amadeus, the year that was up against The Killing Fields, Places in the Heart, A Soldier's Story, and A Passage to India. Those were the nominees the year Amadeus
And A Passage
won.
to India won, or Killing Fields.
No, Amadeus won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the repicked winner, and no argument there. Cause,
Personally, I think the Killing Fields, because I've seen that. The Killing Fields was very, very. It was good. It's long and it is a little boring, but it is a good movie and the message in there.
Gosh, look at the list of movies that came out that year. The year that Amadeus and all those won, you had Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, come out, which they're rebooting now with. It's going to be a Netflix series. It's called Cobra Kai, with the original cast, Ralph Macchio included.
Oh, really?
And Johnny's character, William Zabka.
Yeah.
I think his name.
He went by Billy back in the day.
But he's coming back to reopen the Cobra Kai dojo.
Oh.
And so him and Ralph Macchio are competing dojos, and it's a television series. And
I'll tune in.
So we had Karate Kid, the original Ghostbusters, the original Beverly Hills Cop, the original Terminator, Gremlins, and Indiana Jones, and Splash. That was a freaking great year.
That was a good year. Yeah, that was a really good year. I'd seen the bulk of those, man. I own the bulk of those.
Yeah. That was gosh, man. It's crazy, and you look at these types of movies, and then the movies that came out, and then you look at what was nominated and what won. It's like you got to really start going back and rethinking your list of nominees, man.
Yeah.
Academy. You really need to start taking a strong, hard look at that. Because I mean, if the only reason that Return of the King won is because you screwed up the previous 2 years, then you should have had the other 2 Lord of the Rings movies win Best Picture.
Right.
You got to seriously take a long, hard look every year. Just don't go back in hindsight and
be like, I had read an article once that half of the voting body apparently doesn't even watch the movies. Mm-hmm. It's all about money. It's all about politics. It's all about campaigning and stuff. And so at the end of the day, whoever wins, who spent the most money, is really what it is.
And it's not box office dollars either, folks.
No, it's whoever bought them the nicest steak and and all this other stuff. And so it's just, I don't know.
You're giving me your penthouse in the Bahamas for 2 weeks? Sweet!
Ooh, I think your movie's in the running.
Right. Make sure you're free at the end of February.
Yeah, it's just bogus.
Yeah, it's crazy. Going back to, we got way off topic there.
Oh yeah.
But when you brought up that, I was like, oh, that reminds me. But going back to the Christopher Reeve thing, man, I had this huge nostalgic moment this week. I bought the Superman soundtrack. It was freaking awesome. I listened to it at work. The guy said, and I had my headphones on, but you can still hear the music through the headphones. The guy sits next to me. He's like, he's a younger kid. He's in his late 20s. He's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, Superman? And he's like, you're weird. I'm like, dude.
You know what, millennials? I'm going to say this. You know what?
Come on, man. You don't have no clue, man.
We're all going to die when millennials get taken in charge. They have no clue what they're doing.
None. Yeah. I'm like, seriously. And then I'm as I'm listening to the soundtrack, and I listened to the whole thing, and it had there must have been 30 different songs in there, because there's different versions of each. The Superman March had like 4 different versions, and
oh really?
Destruction of Krypton and all that. But as they're going through, and when each one plays, I remember the scenes in my head. So I'm replaying the movie in my head. And I even jumped on YouTube a couple of times. Like, oh, I love that scene. I like watching it again, where they had the rescue, where Lois Lane falls out of the helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
And Superman comes up. And so, yeah, it's just,
well,
it's just a great movie. And I still, and people are going to think I'm crazy, and you might too. I'll take that original Superman movie, and I'll put it up against any Marvel movie to date.
No, I 100% agree with you, because the tagline of that movie, "You'll believe a man can fly."
You really did.
You do.
Richard Donner did a great job with that.
He did. You walk out of that movie, and you believe in Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That it's like, no. He exists.
Right.
is the way you look at it. And we have to say, if it wasn't for Superman, the original Richard Donner Superman, we wouldn't have what we have today.
Right. That was really what started the superhero movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it took a while to get them going. I mean, you had the Batman TV series. You had the Superman TV series with George Reeves.
Yeah, you did. But as a movie, though, because those were pretty much.
It took those movies, and it was on the movie's on an epic scale. That still stands up to this day.
Well, and even if you look at the Batman TV show, they did do a movie, Batman the movie. Mm-hmm. But it was cheesy as hell. It was something for little kids.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the George Reeves TV show.
Mm-hmm.
When you had Christopher Reeve put on the blue suit, the red cape, the whole thing, it was the first time it was like, no, this is a legit thing, that it's not just for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of a shift for everybody. But even talking about you listening to the soundtrack, are you going to listen to the Captain America Civil War soundtrack? No. It was iconic. It was iconic from start to finish, and everything about it.
We mentioned this last week.
Was iconic.
When we're talking about how they brought Superman back to life, and in the Justice League movie, and when we're talking about, gosh, just when Superman made his appearance again in Superman 2. You didn't even see him on screen. All of a sudden, you just hear this dun 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 dun.
Like, oh,
and you just feel the hair stand up on the back of your freaking neck. And just as I'm saying that, it happened. You get the chills. So I mean, it's just it. Back then, Warner Brothers got it. They got it.
They understood it.
They understood it. Now, it's
I have to say, because there was a problem with Warner Brothers and Richard Donner, or the Salkinds, whoever who owned kind of the rights to the cinematic universe of Superman. There was some issue with them and Richard Donner. Mm-hmm. So they brought in another director to kind of finish everything off. Mm-hmm. But Richard Donner had shot about 75% of Superman 2.
Yeah.
And so when you see that iconic moment of him standing on the flagpole saying, "General Zod, would you care to step outside?" That was all Richard Donner, baby.
Yep.
He completely understood what Superman was.
Yeah. And so did Christopher Reeve too. I mean, when you hear that, when you going back to an interview that you sent me, he knew everything about that character. He knew the backstory. He knew, everything in the comic books. All the way down to what the temperature was on planet Krypton.
Yep.
So, no, the temperature was 22 degrees Celsius, and
Yeah.
You know,
No, he knew everything.
talk about a beautiful mind. But I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, that right there. That's when you know you have gold. When you have somebody who cares about a character that much, and then it portrays it on screen, and it came out the way it did, and it's just. So I will take that movie and put it up against any one of those top 10 movies we talked about last week, and I can make.
I agree with you.
Against every single one of them, including Civil War, including all that.
Oh yeah, no, I completely.
And the special
agree
effects
with
were great.
They were. It holds up. No,
Yes,
you
it totally holds
can
up.
still sit down and watch that first Superman movie
totally freaking holds
and
up.
still believe that a man can fly.
Yes.
And granted, Man of Steel visual effects way better,
Yeah,
light
but
years better.
It's nowhere near.
But
no offense to what we have now, but I mean it's nowhere near as good.
Yeah, that movie
It's nowhere
is.
near as good.
And if you disagree with us, just leave a comment down in the comments, and we'll just tell you that you're wrong. but here's the thing: if you're going to tell us that we're wrong, you got to give us a good reason of why you think we're wrong. Don't just be like, the movie was dumb. No, you're dumb.
yeah,
So is your mom.
you're stupid. No.
Yeah, you're a poo-poo head.
And you can't tell us we're wrong if you don't subscribe to the channel.
That's right. Subscribe. I'm tired of subscribing every week. I mean, what? No, just kidding.
Come on, Mom.
That's right. But we are almost out of time.
Yeah, it's been 53 minutes went by like that. But
Yeah.
no, man, it kind of goes back to what we talked about before. You get down talking movies, and next thing you know, time flies. This is why we never got any work done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we are. That's why we're here, though.
That's right.
And so.
But yeah, no. So Academy Awards tomorrow. By the time this airs, they'll be over. So hopefully the right picture won.
Yeah, and we will have our opinions on it next week for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but we'll talk about best, about all the nominees for the most. Well, it's the major ones because I could give two craps about best documentary.
Yeah, I mean that's
But we'll definitely have our opinions on best actor and best actress.
When they finally open it up and start including best superhero movie or best, or start including best superhero movies in the list of best picture nominees, and if Lord of the Rings didn't teach you anything, you need to learn your lesson sooner or later. Maybe more people will tune in and watch, but we'll see how tomorrow's show goes. I'm gonna watch.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch because I'm gonna have to watch online. But I will pay attention to that, and then we'll have a lot to talk about next week.
It'd be interesting to see who won to compare it to our list.
Compare it to what we want. So I think that's what we need to do is we need to sit down and say this is who we hope wins, and this is who we actually hope wins. I can tell you one thing: I hope who does not win, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Me too.
For Shape of Water.
Yeah,
Please no.
I hope not. I really, seriously, truly hope Greta Gerwig wins. And
We'll know tomorrow.
We'll see.
But I'm not holding out much hope, and I know it's sad, but I think that's just the state of the Academy.
That's a good CYA right there, man.
Yeah. Well, no, I hope she does win. I hope that Ladybird does win. That Greta Gerwig wins for best director and best writing and all of that. I hope that's what happens. I don't have enough faith in Hollywood and in the Academy for it to happen.
I don't either. It would be nice to see, but who knows?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I just have a feeling it's going to be The Shape of Water. And that movie was a dump.
You look at the history of the Academy and what won in the past and compared to what should have won.
I know. The Shape of Water is a toilet bowl.
But then you go back to, in 10 years from now, if they go back and repick this year's winner, it'll be something that wasn't nominated, which was The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. And that's the thing that shocks me most. Not even best soundtrack.
And it's a
what the
musical.
hell?
It's a musical.
I know. And the soundtrack wasn't even nominated. Come
on.
on. The director wasn't even nominated. It's like, this is BS. That is the biggest, yeah.
And just the fact that it was Hugh Jackman's passion project for years and years speaks volumes to Hugh Jackman as not only an actor, but he's just a talent, man. I mean, the guy hosted the Academy Awards one year, and he was.
Yep.
I put his performance up there with Billy Crystal.
Oh yeah, no, he was
So,
good because he's an
awesome.
entertainer. He's not just an actor; he's an entertainer.
He's an entertainer.
I'm just glad they never brought James Franco back and Anne Hathaway.
That was murder. That was murder.
Well, it was kind of fun because Anne Hathaway was the standout that year, and you could tell she was dragging James Franco along the whole night. They were paying him good money to be there, and he wanted to be anywhere else but there.
James Franco is like the next step up version of Shia LaBeouf.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
he's
it's,
right
you
there.
know, it's like those two are just like right there together.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but yeah, we're at that point. So
Coming to an end. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the Academy Awards, and I'll go get some movies, and there's going to be a ton more guaranteed to talk about next week.
Yep. So I hereby challenge thee to make sure you see Game Night.
It will be done.
And even if you just rent Ladybird and just watch it, and just honestly, it's a quick hour and a half.
No, I promise you,
boom, 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 done.
I'm leaving here. I'm leaving the studio, and I'm going to Redbox, and I want to rent it.
He said studio.
I did say studio. I don't want anyone to know where we're at.
We're in an undisclosed location in Sacramento.
That's right. We're in the studio.
Ish.
All
right, folks. Hey, thanks for joining us. I am not Dave.
And I am not Jeff.
And bye.
Bye, everybody.